What's going on, everybody? It's Jay again. So in today's video, I want to go over one of the best fucking things I've ever bought ever. These things are fucking awesome. I've been a huge fan of hammer training, originally sledgehammer training, when I first got introduced to it 10 years ago. The problem was I worked in a big facility where we had a lot of things going on inside, and I'd always have to take my clients outside, and I live in New Jersey, so you know it's cold half of the year. So you got to go outside, you got to use the big ass tires, you got to move them where you want them to go. There's always water or mosquitoes inside them, and it was always a pain in the ass, right? And whenever I would try doing sledgehammer-based classes, you know, we did a lot of cardio conditioning and high-intensity arm classes that people loved using the sledgehammers for core work and arm work, but it was just such a hassle having the hammers and then getting the tires and then keeping them clean and no water inside. It was a pain in the butt until I found the BAMF hammer, right? Let me see that. Flip this around, give Sean's the guy who made these, right, Sean? The BAMF hammer by Sean Richardson. Sean, if I fucked up your name, I apologize. Get back at me later on. But Sean came up with the BAMF hammer. Now, originally, the BAMF hammer, now just so you guys know, I am, as far as I know to date, the official record holder. I have 16 of these things, right? Because we've been doing a lot of classes. Now, originally, when I first started getting the BAMF hammers, they came out with the short handle hammers, which yes, it looks like a Thor hammer, right? There's the 20-pound BAMF hammer. I like using the 10-pound BAMF hammer more, especially with my clients, because I think it's a more versatile tool as far as the mobility and movement training stuff that we do with it goes. But as far as straight strength training goes, 20-pound hammer is awesome. 40-pound hammer is on damn bearable. So for the next exercise I'm gonna go over is, I can't remember I never really came up with a name for this one. It's basically switch squats, all right? So what a switch squat is, whatever hammer I would give somebody for their hammer slams, typically I would go one heavier for the switch squat, all right? Now, switch squats, they don't look like a really hard exercise, but when you go to do them, they're actually a phenomenal exercise, especially for your people who hate doing barbell squats. One of the problems people have with barbell squats is their core strength is so suspect that they can't support the weight of the bar on their back, and when they squat, they're always leaning forward, they throw their back out, because they don't have any way to engage their upper back and shoulder muscles, right? So what I like about the switch squats for the sledgehammer, right, the BAMF hammer, is when I go to do this exercise, let me show you the exercise first, right? I'm gonna be right here. This is basically a mace exercise, right? Where you're just switching the hammer or the mace, depending what you have, side to side. And as I do my switch squats, I squat and I pop out of it. Now, there's a ton of stuff going on here right now, and it doesn't look like a lot, but if you do a set of 14 to 20 of these, right? 14 to 20 total if you're a good guy, 14 to 20 on both sides if you're a dick like I am, right? But what's happening is this. One, people like myself who've done a lot of weight training for years, I am very right side dominant, which means I lean to my right side, I do everything on the right side, and it creates a ton of issues for my hip, my lower back, and my leg. And my left leg is so much more underdeveloped than my right leg. So by having an exercise like a switch squat that allows me to switch all the weight to my non-dominant side, now I have to engage that left leg and work that left leg, where if the weight was more centered, right, and almost dropped it. Where if the weight was more centered and I'm right here, I'm naturally gonna lean to my right side, which isn't bad, but it doesn't do anything to correct my problem. So switch squats side to side lets you train both sides of the body independently while you're doing the squat, right? Now, what they also force me to do, watch my back, right? As I switch side to side, I pull the hammer in tight to my body. I keep it squeezed tight. What does that force me to do? By pulling the bar in tight to my body after the switch, in essence, gives me something to pull against. That rowing motion helps me engage my upper back and my shoulder blades, and it puts my spine in that proper position. A couple of videos ago, we talked about the two gyroscopic points of your body. You have a circular gyroscope on the front side of your body that all rotation happens around, and you have a gyroscopic point on the back side of your body that all rotation happens around. For 99% of the exercises you do, you should be keeping that front gyroscope open and that back gyroscope closed, so you have good spinal alignment, lunges, chest presses, all that other kind of stuff, right? What most people do, they have the ability to stabilize the back side of their body. That backside gyroscope is so poor, their spine collapses, they round out. That's why they're doing deadlifts like a dog taking a deuce on the side of the curb. That's why they squat and look like they're gonna drop and face plant down on the ground. That's why when they bench, They come up and off the bench like this, so they do push-ups, they're like a hunchback, right? What the bar is gonna do, it's gonna give you something to engage and pull through. Your lats, your traps, your rhomboids, back of your shoulders, all those muscles will engage to help keep your spine straight. So now I can get used to doing a proper squat by hinging through my hips, not by rounding at my spine. So a switch squat is a great exercise for some low intensity squats real quick on the fly, but it's also a great training tool to trick people into doing all the shoulder blade stuff that they really don't think they have the work for. So typically what I'll do, I'll actually pair up switch squats with hammer slams. So I'll have somebody at one end of the field, they're taking their hammer, right? Going back and forth, switch squats side to side, right? I'll even turn these into a reverse lunge if I need to, right? Back and forth, weighted reverse lunge. I'll show you a video on this one in a second, or a switch squat, depending what you're doing. We'll do like 10 to 14, right? And then from there, I'm gonna run down. Now, down here, I'll do a different exercise. Maybe it's with the kettlebell. Maybe I'm doing hammer slams, right? Whatever exercise I want. Then I'll go back, have them do squats again, run, do the other exercise over here. And it's a great way to put together a little 10 to 15 minute circuit for your classes, your small groups, your clients, or even your personal workouts. So those are switch squats, all right? I gotta remember the name of that, I always forget that. Those are switch squats, that's at least what we call them anyway. So that's two of the exercises we go through so far, hammer slams and switch squats. We got one more I wanna show you guys right now. Let's check it out. Awesome, cool. So guys, in this part of the video, I'm gonna show you guys one of the more basic, I didn't even mean to do that. I do that out of habit now. So I'm gonna show you one of the more basic exercises we use this for, the basic BAMF hammer slam, all right? Now, the basic BAMF hammer slam, you have two contact points. You have your top hand and your bottom hand. Your bottom hand is never gonna leave, that is a constant, all right? Your top hand is gonna slide up and down the hammer depending where it is in relation to your body. The way we're gonna start is this. I'm gonna side stance, all right? We're gonna start from the ground, all right? Let's say you just started up. Notice how my back is as straight as possible. I'm gonna keep my bottom hand on the handle. I'm gonna slide my top handle to the top of the hammer. Why? So when I come around with the hammer, I'm able to have full positive control of what's going on as I bring it up above my body. One of the biggest mistakes we see people make with this is they take the hammer, right? You can tell on my middle, and listen, I'm a strong dude, all right? I lift a lot of weights. I've been doing this for 20 years. Like, this is what I do professionally, right? So, and I'm not gonna exaggerate this either. With a 10-pound hammer, holding it in the middle, you see how there's not a lot of control, and it's very easy to hit yourself at the top of the head, get off balance, or hit somebody else. You wanna have the most amount of control of the hammer possible as you're doing it, especially in a group setting. For all you trainers watching this, you wanna make sure people aren't gonna swing the hammers into each other, especially if they owe each other money. You definitely wanna keep them away from each other, all right? But I'm gonna slide all the way up to the top of the hammer. Now what I'm gonna do from here is I'm gonna bring it around my body. As I come around, notice how my right hand was down, my left hand was elevated, right? As I came up, I switched those two positions, so now the bottom of the hammer is high, the top of the hammer is low. As I go to swing the hammer, I'm gonna slide my top hand. I'm never letting go of the hammer. I slide and I drop down to the ground, all right? I want you to pay attention to what happens with my hips on the way down, right? The hammer's going down and forward, my hips are going down and back, right? I'm gonna do a couple reps. I'm dropping myself into a deep squat. Sliding my hand, you notice my right hand never comes off the hammer, right? It's just sliding and gliding. I'm coming around, good positive control. Right when it's above my head, that's when I start sliding it away from me as I go, right? Do a couple views from the front, right? Watch my feet. Toes are slightly turned in, knees out. There's a whole other list of videos of why I take this kind of stance. Make sure you tune into our YouTube channel. You're gonna see all the stuff we put up with, right? Shameless plug right there. You can see how this is just as much of a squatting motion as it is an ab and arm exercise, right? Rotational aspect. I would change sides, so get the other side, right? My left side's not as strong. The power hand is the bottom hand. I'm pulling down with the bottom hand. If you try to slam it with the top hand, it's gonna jump all over the place. I've learned, especially with the big hammer, the pulling hand, which is the bottom hand, that's your power, in addition to the squat. Another thing we do with the hammer slams as we go, I'm a very big fan of digging into the ground with your feet. As I come down for the squat, I literally try to pull the ground under my feet and get into it so I can drive my hips back more. The squatting aspect of this motion is just as important as the abdominal crunch and the lat pull down. Now, some people say, well, Jay, that was like a very front chain based exercise. Well, you are working your front chain of your body, you're right. Now, but if you look at how do I come out of my front chain? I'm standing up and I'm extending. So it's both the front side and back side of the core exercise. You're really getting your entire core, as long as you're changing arms, right? So it's phenomenal because you're working the extensions of the back, you're teaching people how to stand up with weight, right? And you're teaching them how to come down, ideally with a straight spine, but for some people that might take some work. So that's one of the more popular exercises we do, Sledgehammer Slam. So typically what we'll do, for those of you guys who are, looking to work this into your fitness classes, my clients love these, right? Typically what I'll do for the fitness classes, we'll have our intermediate group, we'll give them a 10-pound hammer. Guys, girls, doesn't matter, it's a phenomenal tool. For some of our stronger clients, some of the guys, they like to lift heavier weights. I'll give a couple of them the 20-pound hammers, but like I said, we also got some of the 5s that Sean made for us, and they're really great for somebody who's either brand new to our style of working out, or maybe they just have some strength issues, some balance issues that we're working on, but it still gives them an option to be able to do this motion. And if somebody can't handle the hammer, I'm giving them a medicine ball. So different ways you can arrange this, right? What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my hammer, right? Didn't hit myself in the face, that's a good thing. So what I'll do, just to kind of give you guys an idea, I'll have them do 10 hammer slams on the right, 10 hammer slams on the left. And then we're gonna do a rifle run. All a rifle run is, for those of you guys who are in the military, you're holding whatever weighted object you're in and you're running whatever set distance you want, right? Whether it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 yards, maybe you're just a friggin' masochist and you have your clients running 300 yards, like I've done sometimes. You have them pick a distance they run out. 10 slams to the right, 10 slams to the left, then you have them run across wherever they gotta go, 10 more slams to the right, 10 more slams to the left, you have it run back, you have them do a third set of 10 slams to the right, a third set of 10 slams to the left, and then typically, because it's a lot of pulling and squatting, I know myself, I would go to like a kettlebell clean and press or a bicep curl to shoulder press exercise from the half kneeling position, so I'd have them come down, right? Oh man, I got done doing my slams. I got my dumbbell down here to the side, bicep curl to shoulder press, maybe I'll have them do some walking lunges, all kind of exercises you can put into it. But we're very big on integrating cardio with your weight training and mobility training. And some days, like today was a nice day out. It's been a heat wave up here the past couple days. Today we actually got a great break in the weather. So rather than having people go on the assault bike again, or go on the Concept 2 rower again, or the skier again, or doing burpees, because some of you guys just love burpeeing people to death, you can take the hammer, go outside, and give them a totally new way of doing cardio that they've never been introduced to before, and get a ton of aggression out too. So those are hammer slams, and one of the ways we work it into our group fitness classes. Let's check out some of the other exercises we have. Another exercise we use a ton with for the hammers, and I don't really do so much. I don't make it a general exercise in the class. I use it as an advanced option. So if we're doing, typically we'll do halos, right? With a halo, typically what I'll do is I'll have a client hold a plate, right? I didn't bring a plate out here, so you guys gotta visualize with me. I'll have them hold a plate in the front side of their body. They go around the head, right? And they go up to the sky. Some of you guys do these with kettlebells. They go around the head with the plate again, and they go up to the sky. It's a great shoulder mobility-based exercise, right? And it also helps open up their ribs. What also is a great mobility exercise for your shoulders and opening up the rib cage is mace work, all right? Now, a lot of people have never seen maces. It's basically a sledgehammer that you swing around your head, right? So what we'll typically do, instead of using maces, I'll have people do mace work with their hammers, right? So we typically do, right, mace work. I'm gonna use a 10-pound hammer right now, right? But you can use a 20, you can use a 40, you can use whatever you want. You can go stop and go, right? You can go all the way around the head, right? Great for opening up the rib cage. Now 10 pounds, I'm not gonna lie, I really don't feel 10 pounds. Typically I'll do this one-handed, right? And what it's good for, watch my right arm. My right arm is great. Balance, I'm stabilized, I go around. Now, I remember I told you guys my left side is trash, right? Watch how bad this one is. I can get around, but I can't stabilize it. Well, it's actually pretty good for me. It's a lot more effort because the whole entire left side of my body is shot from doing shit wrong for years before realizing what I was doing wrong. So, great for rotator cuff work, right? Any of your mace exercises. So typically there's a bow and arrow mace exercise. We come out, you gotta pull back on your shoulder blades, right? It doesn't look a lot. The back of my shoulder blades are screaming on this one because both of my shoulder blades have to engage to stabilize that 10-pound weight on the end of the hammer as I drop into it, right? And if I look towards the camera, the reason why it's called the bow and arrow, right? It's the reason why I call it. I like to use names that people can remember and relate to. as I come down, say I'm getting ready to shoot a bow and arrow at the camera, right? So any of your mace exercises, you can even do halo to a squat. This one works great with the bigger hammers. As a matter of fact, let me stop being such a little girl, right? You can take the 20-pound hammer, go halo around the head, and you're absorbing the squat. Around the head, and then you squat. I think we gotta do this in one of our classes again. We haven't done this one in a while. It's amazing the shit you remember when you start doing videos. And I would do that for 4, 14, 24, based on, you know, the reps and the sets and the weights can be based on whatever your desired training effect is. So with that exercise, it's really more than just one exercise. Any of the exercise you would do for mace work could totally be done with a sledgehammer, with a BAMF hammer. And the cool thing about the BAMF hammer is now you can do flows where you combine your mace work with your sledgehammer work, right? So let's say I want something a little more graceful. Come around the top of my body, down, bring it up, right? Halo to one side, halo to the other side, down. Halo, halo, down, right? Halo around to one side, halo around the other side, down. So like I said before, your creativity is really your only limitation on these. That was 3 of the 4 exercises we have for you. Technically, I got one more I want to show with you guys. Stay with me for a minute, all right? So now for this last exercise, I'm gonna preface this by saying, I already did legs today. My freaking legs are sore as shit, all right? So when my lunges look like garbage, don't judge me, all right? This is my, I'm working out again. So that being said, I kind of alluded to this one in the squatting exercise. One of the best exercises we figured out the hammers are for, besides from your basic hammer slams, which are for a phenomenal exercise, is reverse lunges and forward lunges in general. Now, typically what happens is when, at least what I noticed, and when I see people doing their lunges, they have such a hard time keeping their balance to the proper side, right? So typically what happens, people come around, right? They do their lunges, and they feel they have to stay in the straight forward line, and things start collapsing in, and they lose their balance, and it's very hard for them to not use their hands. Where what I find is if you give people some kind of a weighted object to hold to the outside of the forward leg, whether it's a forward lunge, a reverse lunge, or whatever, typically it's easier for them to balance head over foot, because I have the weight to the outside of my body here, my leg and my head at that pivot point. You can see there's a straight line going down from the top of my head down to my foot, right? And then I have my leg to the outside of my body. And that's the position you want to get into for lunges. So that's a whole other different video. If you have more questions about that, do me a favor, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or just shoot me a DM or leave a comment in the comments box. We can get you guys hooked up with that video so you can get a better idea of what I'm talking about, because I love to nerd out into stuff, and some people are like, Jay, what are you talking about? So I apologize about that, right? You're very excited about this stuff. That and ice cream, right? So, reverse lunge. Typically what I'll do, I'll have somebody do their switch squats, right? Have them switch the hammer to the side, and then from there, I have them lunge down and back up, right? Typically, I'll have them start with the one side, just so they can focus on their technique, their form. You see how right now I'm more weighted to the outside, and also by having that hammer to hold on to, I have a point to brace with my shoulder blades against. Why? What did I say most people do when they do reverse lunges? Watch my back from the back. Most people do the reverse lunges, and they do this, and their spine rounds right out right away. They're down, they're rounding out. Even if they get all the way down, they're still rounding their spine out. By having something to hold on to, right? The BAMF hammer, look, the logo. Now I can pull against it, right? I can stay tight. Now when I come down, it's easier to keep that spine straight in the lines. And when I keep my spine straight in the lines, there's less pressure on my knee, my hip and my glute, my outer leg muscles are able to engage and work more, my inner thighs less involved. It's a better motion. Now, I'll also have people alternate side to side as they go, do a little more burst, right? I'll have people do alternating forward lunges, right? Well, they'll come in, they'll lunge, and they'll come back up out of it. They'll lunge, I'm gonna pop it up off the ground and come back up out of it. So I'm engaging my lat and my oblique to help me come out, right? I'll even have people do exercises where they'll hold the hammer, right? They'll lunge to the outside, come back up with a forward lunge, right? Or with the reverse lunge. I'll even have people do lateral lunges where you take your hammer, right? I'll typically do a little halo around the head, and then while I have the hammer, a lateral lunge out of it. Halo around the head, and then a lateral lunge out of it. Because like I said, just having that weight to hold on to, it's gonna force you to engage your lats, your shoulder blades more. It'll give you better core stability, better spinal straightness. It'll make the exercise that much better. So guys, those are just 4 of the exercises that we use the BAMF hammer for. Hopefully this gave you some great ideas you can use today. Hopefully it sparks some creativity for you guys to go out and do your own videos, come out with your own exercises, so I can go out and copy some of your shit and add it to my classes, because we all help each other out, right? So, if you have any questions, by all means, you can always reach out to me. You can go to our website, our social media page, whatever you're looking at, whatever platform you're viewing this video on. Reach out to myself either through email, leave a comment in the section below, DM us, and either myself or one of my coaches will reach back out to you. Or if you want to get your very own BAMF hammer, reach out to Sean at BAMF Hammer, and he will get you hooked up with whatever he needs to get you properly supplied. So I would definitely order one of these. If you order one, you're going to want more. I would typically recommend going with a 10-pound hammer first. It is the most versatile. You can always go heavier from there. I remember when I got my first hammer, I made the mistake of going for the heavy one right away. It was an ego thing, right? I got the 40, I should have gone with the 10. I bought a second one, I got the 20. Should have gone with the 10. The lighter hammer lets you build some of the foundation motion first, and then it's very easy to build up from there. A lot of people I see the hammers, they want to start heavy, and while they might have the basic strength required, it's not the prime movers, which are like the big muscles. It's the small little stabilizer muscles, like your serratus, your rotator cuff muscles, the ones that when I was doing that hold on my right side, I was good. When I was on my left side, it was all over the place. The lighter weights will give you a chance to build up those smaller muscles first. That happens nice and quick, and then from there you can progress to the 20s and the 40s and the heavier ones from there. So take my advice, go with the light one first. I think it's more versatile, and you can use it with your clients, and then when you're ready for it, you can get the bigger hammer and progress to the heavier weights faster, all right? Guys, I hope that helped you out. If you have any questions, let us know. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Thanks for stopping by.